You're listening to the Gridiron Wine podcast, where three girls, two Brits, one Yank, discuss the beautiful game of American football whilst drinking delicious wine. Enjoy the show. Everyone, and welcome back to a special episode of Gridiron Wine. I'm Liz, aka NFL Girl UK, and I'm joined by my co-host Dayna from Our Turf Football and Shona from 99 Yards. In this episode, we'll be talking all things free agency, remaining QBs, and head coach changes around the league. But first, we're in a bit of a crazy time right now, not just in the UK, not just in America, but around the world. In the grand scheme of things, how are you both feeling?
Well, let me tell you, Americans aren't used to being told what to do, as you guys probably well know. And so this has been a really strange time for us here. But I think that for the most part, everyone's doing okay. I'm really sick of my house, but, you know, I work in healthcare as my day job, so I know the importance of staying home. But, you know, mentally it's hard. Thank God the NFL has given us a little bit of a distraction this week, but now I'm worried about what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks when we don't have that distraction. It's a little strange. But me, personally, I'm doing just fine.
And Shona?
I'm fine. I feel sorry for people who are probably struggling a lot more than me at the minute with everything that's going on. The Brits are a little bit like Americans. We don't really like to be told what to do.
Right.
As videos have emerged over the past week. If we don't go to a pub and everyone's like, I'm in the West London pub getting pissed. And I'm like, not good look, guys.
No.
But yeah, on the whole, I'm okay. My mom's a nurse, so I'm kind of like really worried about her. But she's like a wee trooper. Totally proud of her for everything she's doing. It's just pretty incredible. So yeah, I just want to say thanks to all our nurses and doctors out there who are trying to save our lives at the minute.
Yeah, definitely, it's crazy. I mean, I've been working from home, all of last week and most of the week before as well, to be honest. So working from home is something I'm quite used to, but it's this whole staying in. That's the bit I do struggle with, but I totally get why we have to do it. So just got to plod on,
well,
right?
Let's be honest, ladies. We wouldn't do this show unless we were extroverts. I mean, that's who we are. We like to be out with the people and talking, and so this is hard for us. Now, I have an introvert daughter who thinks this is the greatest thing that's ever happened. So it's just the way you look at it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, my brother's like, it's all right if I have to self-isolate for 2 weeks. I'll just lie in my bed. I'm like, how is that okay?
Well, when coronavirus hasn't been all over the news, obviously the NFL has. So let's kick off today's chat with the biggest free agency moves. Now, I'm going to start with, I guess, the move that was most surprising to me, and that was Tom Brady leaving New England for Tampa. Now, for someone who wasn't Brady's biggest fan, out of jealousy, of course, I'm just excited to see what he's going to do with the team and kind of how the team will then perform. I think it gives him a chance to prove that he isn't just a product of Bill Belichick's coaching, and I think it then gives Tampa Bay the gas to kind of, I don't know, for him to get going again, because I'm not sure he necessarily was all there last kind of season. For me, the least surprising move, Cowboys franchising Dak Prescott. Obviously, Jerry Jones was never going to let him leave. Getting his contract just isn't something I guess they've got salary cap for at the moment, so obviously Tag was going to be the obvious goal. A player that I think that's been overpaid. So Dante Fowler Jr., he's been paid big by the Falcons, so $45 million. Something that's over 3 years. I think it can climb to as high as 48. Will the contract he's been given, is that going to match the production he's going to give? I'm not so convinced about that part. Underpaid, Vernon Butler, so he's joined Bills for $15 million over 2 years. I think he's going to have a really strong defence behind him, and I think that's going to mean that he's kind of destined for like a breakout season, so I'm excited about that one. A move that's completely baffled me. The Texans traded their star wide receiver. So DeAndre Hopkins is off to the Cardinals in exchange for, what was it? Oh yeah, running back David Johnson, a 2020 second round pick, and a 2021 fourth round pick. So I'm not so sure that's what I would have done, but hey, what can I say? A team, I think, that's destined to tank. So the Jaguars, they've traded Calais Campbell to the Ravens for a fifth round pick. Now, I think that's really, really quite sad because I think he was kind of like the heart and soul of that defense. He was the Walter Payton Man of the Year in 2019, Pro Bowler for each of his 3 seasons. Like, even if trading him meant that $15 million dollars in savings, to me, that move is a bit of like a white flag from the Jaguars. But happier news, Todd Gurley is going to Atlanta. It was released by Rams on Thursday. By Friday, he's been picked up by Atlanta. I just hope he stays healthy and that, it's a really good move. Obviously, there's been way more different trades than that, but what have your thoughts been?
Well, there's been a ton. I mean, so many, and it was because of what's going on in the world right now. It was kind of weird because they couldn't have them at the facility, so we couldn't get the pictures with the new jerseys, and everything was happening before the new year even started. Like, it's just got a weird vibe to it. Like, I keep waiting for someone to back out at some point. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, well, I didn't have to sign her. I don't know. It's just been really weird. But I will say this. Tom Brady is just following in the footsteps of Peyton Manning, of Brett Favre, that end of career switch teams to almost prove your worth. And Tom Brady has absolutely no reason to prove anything. Yeah. But I think what you said is interesting, and the way to look at it is this. We need to know if Tom Brady can be Tom Brady without Bill Belichick, and we need to know if Bill Belichick can be Bill Belichick without Tom Brady. They've been joined for 20 years. And they both are considered the best at what they do. So what is going to be interesting is to pull that apart and see how it falls. I think that that's going to be fascinating. And I'm going to talk about that just a little bit when I talk about quarterbacks later on. The other one you mentioned, Dak Prescott. The interesting thing about Dak is that I don't think this tag had so much to do with Dak as it had to do with Mike McCarthy. I think Mike McCarthy only wants a year with Dak under his wing to see if he wants to keep him as his quarterback before they pay him. Do he and Dak work well together? Can they make that work? Now, we have to remember, Mike McCarthy had to deal with, and I mean that in absolute truth, he had to deal with Aaron Rodgers and that personality of his. So I don't blame him for being a little wary coming into a kid who's already got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because the team should have extended him last year, and we all know that. Yeah. And he didn't. So how is that going to work? Are they going to be able to work together? So I think that that's where that tag has a lot to do with. I am, however, shocked, so shocked, how much money Dallas paid Amari Cooper. Yes. $100 million for 5 years. What? Insane. I mean, the kid is good. I love it. But at the same time, are you kidding me right now? Like, I was shocked at that one. There's a couple of really good ones. There's a tons of tags out there. Brendan Sheriff was tagged, a whole bunch. I think that it was smart and we're going to talk about quarterback later, but Teddy Bridgewater ending up in Carolina, I love that move. I think that is fantastic. I'm so jealous of the Browns with Jack Conklin. God, he's an offensive tackle. He played for the Titans. Now he's with the Browns. I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous that they got him. I wanted him in Seattle so badly. But yeah, this free agency has been amazing and surprising, and it's always weird at this time of year to know that you're going to see a player who only belongs on one team in your head in a different uniform. That's just really hard for me sometimes. So I
found it interesting that he picked Tampa. That's what
no
I
income.
was confused.
There's no income tax in Canada. I'm telling you, it's all about the money.
Well, I heard a nicer reason. It was because obviously Gazelle, his wife, she wants to stay in the East. Well, so we'll stick with that rather than no income tax.
Just saying.
But another one that surprised me actually was poor Nick Foles is off again, sailing into the sunset from another team, off to Chicago. It probably spells the end of Mitch Trubisky, but to be honest, that probably needed to be done about a while ago. Another one I find interesting, and I know I'm a huge fan of him because I want him back in Seattle, is how Clowney hasn't been picked up yet. I feel like he outpriced himself out of the market maybe a little bit because you saw big deals going for his position earlier in the free agency and nobody's touched him. It's like, I don't know. I feel like he's going to come back to Seattle now with the way it's played out, but he's obviously, I think he may have wanted a bit too much money than people are willing to offer him.
I agree. Yeah, his last season does not match what he wants. And had he had a killer season for Seattle, then he would have already been signed. But he didn't. And the injury history is there. So I think people or teams, not people, teams are a little timid to sign him. We'll see.
Crazy.
I think Bill O'Brien is becoming the new Thanos, you know, the big meme, being like, I did it, and then she's like, what did it take? Everything. And then you see DeAndre Hopkins leaving to go to play Cardinals. Like, what is with that? Like, what is he doing to that team?
I have no idea. Baffling. They don't have a GM. I really think that has so much to do with it. He has no one other than himself to be accountable to because they don't have a general manager. It drives me crazy. Texans, hire a general manager. Ugh.
People are just doing like tons of memes of like Deshaun Watson going, he's just witnessed his last, you know, good player that he throws to head off to another team, and it's just like him with his mouth open. It's just like funny memes, but it's not funny because, you know, who is he going to throw to?
It's very true. It's very true.
Well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out, won't it?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, this is a great time of year because everything is new and shiny and exciting, but, you know, we get to be armchair GMs and try and scratch our heads and figure out what people are doing. But it'll be fun, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So now, guys, I want to talk about some quarterbacks that are left. So obviously there's been a lot of, you know, shaking and shifting. Drew Brees re-signed in New Orleans, which, we knew that would happen. And I'm thrilled that it did. I'm glad they didn't just dump him for Teddy. Teddy Bridgewater's going to be in Carolina, which I think is a fantastic fit. Nick Foles, yes, he is. He is in Chicago. I'm rooting for that team. Come on, guys. But you picked up Nick Foles and Jimmy Graham. I don't know what to do with this right now. And then, you know, so we have lots of, you know, shifting and stuff. But there's a couple quarterbacks that are still out there that were starting quarterbacks last year that I don't know if they'll be a starting quarterback this next year. So the first one and foremost that we need to talk about, of course, is Cam Newton. What is going on with Cam Newton? And how, honestly, how disrespectful of the Panthers to sign Teddy Bridgewater. Unless there have been conversations between Cam and the team that we're not in on, to just say, yeah, we have this, you know, former MVP candidate as our quarterback who got injured last year, but we're going to sign this new kid because he's actually our quarterback. But then they still haven't released him. He's still technically on that team, which is awful. He needs to be able to go out and look for a new team. It's just terrible.
He is a starting quarterback to me. He's a starting quarterback to me. You can't have Cam Newton on the bench, regardless if he's got injury problems.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you know, for what the Panthers asked from him for so long is the reason he had injuries. You know, they put so much on his shoulders. And I know people think he's weird with his funky haircuts and his weird outfits and all that stuff. But you know what? I call that personality. I don't call it weird. And I think that
I love that.
Yeah. And so just because he's got a personality doesn't mean that he shouldn't play. I think he should play. So where do you go from there? I heard this fantastic thing. It's like he needs to end up in New England. And I laughed. Like I laughed hysterically because I just can't see Bill Belichick put antics. But at the same time, what a great position for him to be in. Do you know what I mean? To be able to play for a couple of years because I will tell you right now, I have no idea who's going to be throwing the ball for New England. Yeah. And so that was an interesting. The other one, obviously the Chargers, although it looks like probably they'll go ahead and stick with Tyrod Taylor, which I don't think is a bad thing either. He's a former starting quarterback. So what do you do with him? I think that Cam is going to be, he's going to be the surprise somewhere. I'm not quite sure. Then we have Jameis Winston, who wrote the sweetest tweet to the Bucs fans today. I don't know if you guys got a chance to read that yet. He said goodbye to Tampa Bay. I thought that was great. It was very classy on his part. Jameis is the one I don't know will be a starting quarterback next year. He might be a backup somewhere, but he's only 26 years old. You know, he just came off a career high passing yards, but he threw the 30 interceptions. And so, but is that on his line? Is that on him feeling rushed? I don't know. But he's always been a turnover machine, but that doesn't mean he's not a good quarterback. I just don't know that any team will take a chance on him starting for them next year. And then there's good old Andy Dalton. From the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know what they're going to do with him. I don't know where he's going to go. You know, I think that the Bengals have the number 1 pick. So, of course, they're end-to-end. You know, I think that they're going to end up with Joe Burrow. I think that's pretty much a given at this point. And so, who's the college quarterback in the draft. So, where does Andy Dalton go? I don't know. Andy Dalton is a good quarterback. He's not elite. He's not amazing. He's good. He's solid. He'll get the job done. So does that mean that he should become a mentor to someone else? I don't know that that's fair for him either. He's 32. Andy Dalton is only 32 years old. I feel like he's been in the league for 40 years, but he's only 32 years old, and he's a 3-time Pro Bowler. So what should happen now that Brady's in Tampa? Where does Andy Dalton go? And then there's little old Joe Flacco, who I think is going to end up probably being out of the league or a backup somewhere. I don't know that Joe Flacco's second chance was Denver, and that did not go well, and so I just don't see him going very far. So, you know, you have to look then, you know, these teams that are going to draft a quarterback. That's Cincinnati, that's Miami, that's, you know, maybe the Chargers. But I think if we look at the quarterbacks that are left, and look at teams that need them, the biggest question mark comes down to New England. Ladies on their roster right now, they have Jared Stidham and Cody Kessler. Those are their quarterbacks. That's it. Now, are they going to trade up and get one of the really, you know, the good kids up front? Are they going to go still Tua from Miami? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So I think that is.
Could you imagine if they took Tua
from Miami? Oh my God. The hatred that's already there.
They would lose it.
I can't. Miami would explode. Like
the whole fan base would like literally erupt a volcano. Hopefully near Foxborough.
Now, yes, hopefully, right? So here's my question for you guys. I have one question. It's one team. It's Las Vegas. So we have Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota and Mike Glennon and Deshaun Kaiser and Nathan Peterman. So here's my question to you guys. Crazy Vegas. I can't believe I have to call them Vegas now anyway, because that just seems stupid to me. But that's the whole, anyway, the Raiders. Does Derek Carr end up getting bumped in with the trade for them to move up to get another player in the draft, or does he just get straight out traded? What happens to Derek Carr? And is he the better quarterback, or is Marcus Mariota the better quarterback? Like, who starts there?
See, I'm quite a Derek Carr fan, and I feel like he's been given such a rough road being a quarterback at the Raiders because they literally just haven't helped him for years. And I actually think he's actually really interesting to watch. I feel like Gruden has done the thing where he's gone, "Hey guys, I'm going to take the guys who used to be big names in the NFL draft and quarterbacks' names. I'm going to take them here and fly the flag for them." Like, and you're like, "Yeah, now you have 4 of them. What are you going to do with them?"
Right.
Like, what are you doing? If I was them, I would stick with Carr. I think Mario had a really bad season last year, and I know it's not based on one season, but he had slip-ups in some games. Like, you notice, like, when I went to watch the Titans-Chargers game in London, you could just tell it wasn't really him that was driving the plays that much. That's what I felt like to me anyway. So I don't know. To me, I would stick with Carr, but I don't think Jay is a fan of Derek Carr. He's made that quite clear, because he was he was even tippering with starting Nathan Peterman last season, and I was like, you can't start Nathan Peterman in this league,
right? Absolutely.
So
I think that's what's quite difficult, though, isn't it? Like, Carr's the one who's got the experience, so he's much more prepared for that kind of situation. Probably knows what to say to get the right, to get people on his side. Whereas Mariota's not got the experience behind him. Don't get me wrong, obviously he has got starter experience and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, depending on which way you want to take your team, I would say, especially at this stage, you need that sort of personal experience, but if you want to take the risk, then it should be Mariota, because I think Derek Carr's time probably isn't, it's nearly done.
I just can't see I'm so baffled, and I hope our listeners chime in on this, because I'm like, what the hell is Gruden doing? Because the other thing that is well known about John Gruden is he is obsessed with young quarterbacks. He likes them young. He likes them really fast and like springy. He likes the new shiny toys, right? So then, none of these are new shiny toys. None of them. And none of them are, elite level quarterbacks. I like Derek Carr too. I'm with you. I think he's gotten a raw deal out of the Raiders, because how many coaches has he had? How many offensive coordinators has he had? I just feel like some consistency would be great for him.
Yeah, I agree.
Marcus Mariota was kind of in the same spot too. And so it's like, what? None of these are going to bring in the crowds that they have to have for this new stadium in Vegas. So I don't know. I think that is going to be just crazy to me. That's the one quarterback situation I'm watching, and New England, because I really want Cam Newton to go to New England. I really do.
So I think it's time we talk about the new coaches ahead of the 2020 season. So we had 5 teams that got rid of their coaches last year, and I've now got new guys in. I feel like some of them are still sprinkling the Sean McVay effect, but that's just my personal opinion. Obviously, we have Mike McCarthy at the Dallas Cowboys, which I'm so excited to see. I'm actually really excited to see Ron Rivera back at the Washington Redskins, because I was so sad when he was let go from Carolina last year. I heard that one of the first things he did was he took out their football table and their pool table that was in the changing room, and he was like, "This is not a games room. Like, this is where we work." Like, I want you to relax, yes, but this is not going to be in here. Like, so, which is obviously quite interesting. Obviously, they have a young QB in Dwayne Haskins. I think Rivera works well with young QBs. Then we have Kevin Stefanski, the Cleveland Browns, which is apparently who they wanted before they hired Freddie Kitchens. Okay, if that's what you insist. Then we have Matt Rule at Carolina Panthers, and then we also have Joe Judge at New York Giants. Now, the Joe Judge is quite an interesting one, because Alabama's Nick Saban called Judge one of the brightest young coaches in our profession. Belichick said Joe can probably coach any position on the field. So, yeah, it was going to be really interesting to see how he does up there, because obviously they've had a pretty rough ride up in New York. Actually, both teams have, and I don't even want to go into the New York Jets, because that's just a major, major mess. And Matt Rule at the Carolina Panthers, obviously, because though they've got a huge fan base, we're just seeing how this new head coach takes that team forward after the Riviera period. So, yeah, what are you guys thinking? Who are you looking forward to see head up their new team?
Yeah, I'm with you on the Ron Rivera point of view. I think that's, it was such a shame that he left Panthers and the way that he left, but, I think he's made some really exciting moves so far at Redskins. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see kind of how that all unfolds.
I am too. I think that everyone understands the impact that he will have there on the culture. The only thing he's got to do is keep his owner's mouth shut. And if he can manage to do that, then he's won half the battle, right? But at the same time, I think that most people, even who maybe aren't super like football savvy or as into football as we are, they know his name and they know his pedigree. And he will be able to come in there and completely change the way. Now, I'm not saying they're going to go from worst to first, because it's going to take some time, and he's got to get his baby quarterback to not be so scared. The kid looked scared to death last year. Don't blame him, because he was behind, a horrific line. So we'll see how that goes. But I think that everyone is going to expect a lot from them. I think that they are going to give them a little bit of time. So you're not going to hear that, if they start out, 4-4 or even 3-5, that you're not going to hear the fans going, bro, forget him, fire him. You're not going to hear that. They get this a little bit, and they were so glad about the way this hire was made. I'm really interested in the Browns. I feel like we end up talking about the Browns every damn year, and they just never get to where we want them to be. But I was so impressed so far with the moves that they've made in free agency. Like I mentioned before, Jack Conklin. God, I'm just so jealous about that. But then they also added Austin Hooper, the tight end from the Falcons. That was a huge coup. He is a fantastic tight end. That is going to be a huge pickup for them. The interesting thing is they keep adding those personalities and those superstars in offense. Eventually something's got to pay off here pretty soon, right? And so we have to kind of see how that goes. They also added Andrew Billings, who's a defensive lineman from the Bengals, who is also a pretty good. And then they got Carl Joseph for their safety. And so who came out of I almost just said Oakland. I'm going to do it all year, from Vegas, the Raiders. So I think that this brand new coach, from at least the moves I've seen, and that could have a lot to do with their GM, that could have something to do with their owners and that sort of thing, because he is, young but good. I like the way that these moves are going, and it looks like he knew exactly where the holes were that he needed. So that's a good sign, I would hope, for Browns fans.
The problem is with the Browns, they just can't seem to stick to one plan. They were like, yeah, we're going to give Freddie Kitchens a go. We're going to prove that this is the right decision. It's a bit of a wild card, but let's throw him in there. And then they've gone, actually, no, wait. We're going to go get the shiny guy that we were going to go get last year.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. And it's frustrating to fans, and it's frustrating to people like us who just keep expecting them to take off, and they don't.
Yeah.
Because they are inconsistent. But, you have...
What is it?
Hmm?
What is that saying when, you put too much stuff in, makes the pot boil or something?
Too many cooks in the kitchen? Yeah.
That is exactly what the offense in the Browns is like.
Yeah. So, once again, then are they going to trade OBJ? Because that doesn't seem to be a good fit. Are they going to do a draft trade with him? Or are they not? Of course, rumors fly this time of year because we have, especially now, nothing but time to sit around and think about it. But I do think that it's really interesting. I think I like the moves they've made. I think that is encouraging. Yeah. And I think, honestly, when we talk about the Giants, it's always just a crapshoot. We have no idea what's happening there. So.
Well, it's not as much as a crapshoot as the Jets.
Yeah, I just feel for those fans. That's just a mess. But we lost George Fant. Seattle let George Fant go to the Jets. They paid him, but that's okay. I know.
It's always eligible to me.
I know. That's what I said too. What am I going to do with my T-shirt? I'm going to keep it because he's coming back. We got Seattle brought Bruce Irvin back. I rule nothing out. So therefore, Fant maybe can come back. I don't know. But good Jets fans that are out there, you're lucky. He's a great guy.
I remember when I was at CenturyLink in December now. God, it feels like years ago, even though it was only 3 months. Yeah. And when they did 74 is eligible, everyone was like, yeah!
George Fant was loved in Seattle for sure.
And I guess bringing us to our final topic, also I guess the way that coronavirus is going, kind of sports all around the world are basically suspended. I don't know, do we know what will sort of happen? Like, I guess we hope that come summer we'll be over all this and be recovering. But, like, what impact do we think this could really have on the season?
I am a bit torn because while the free agency has brought some light relief in terms of, like, sports and NFL Twitter and stories going around, I feel like the NFL hasn't really dealt with how big the situation is. Like, they basically said it's business as usual, free agency's going ahead. They haven't said anything about the draft. The draft's next month.
Yeah.
They can't have this big event that they were planning. Like, it's just physically impossible. So I think they're going to have to come to a realization at some point that they're going to have to maybe push back some things in the season. But at the moment, they haven't really done that. I think sporting on a whole is so sad. Like, MLS isn't on now, which I know Dayna is so gutted about.
Killing me.
Like, because I love the MLS as well. Like, I feel like you've got really good players over there now. It's really building up. Yeah, and there's just nothing going on. So it just feels like a little bit lost without sports. But we know it'll be back. We just don't know when.
I think they did make the announcement that the draft would be changed, that it would not be an outdoor event. There would not be, people would not be there. They would change it somehow. I think it'll be more of a closed door event to where maybe everyone's in one hotel, but just they have to be in different rooms. If we're still on our, 10-person quarantine as we are here in the United States, they no more than 10 people together. And so, and granted that is a few weeks off, and I think that it's literally a week by week thing that they need to watch it. And I think that that's good in my opinion. I think that they need to have some, I keep thinking the word prudence, but they just need to be, calm and say, okay, well this week, because to be quite honest with you, when the NFL says jump, everyone jumps. And so even if it's 2 weeks before the draft or a week before the draft and they don't know what they're doing, they'll get it to happen because that's the power of the NFL. I think when this is really going to have an impact is if this should go into May. And if the situation we're in is still in effect in May, which the thought makes me nauseous because, like I said, I'm an extrovert and it's killing me. But if it does, then you start to get into rookie, camps that usually start in May where the rookies go in. And then you get to push back OTAs. And then if you push it back even further. So then what do you do? Do you not allow that time? Plus now we're going to have an extra game. So they're having to revamp everything. And so we didn't even talk about the CBA. That's a whole nother show all by itself.
Oh,
but, I think
I could talk about that until the cows come home.
Forever, yeah. Those poor players. But so, now they have to deal with that. So are we shuffling? We are already going to end up having the Super Bowl, I think the way it was planned out because of the extra game and then the extended playoffs. We're not getting the Super Bowl till the end of February now. That cannot go into March because the end of the league year is in March. And so how do you do that? I think that there'll be truly a week by week evaluation of this because there's no other way to do it at this point.
Because that's it, we just got to take it as it comes, hasn't it? Nobody knows. Like, we just don't know when this is going to change. Like, so our Prime Minister said, I think it was Thursday, said, 12 weeks from now we should be, getting through this. But, like, that's June. That's still a long time away. So, yeah, that's it. I just don't know. Who knows? We just got to take it, see how it goes, and, I don't know, I guess the NFL will decide what's best, won't they?
MLS has pushed their season out until the middle of May, and I swear to God, if I have to wait any longer than that, I don't care if they play games without a soul in the stands. I just want them to play the matches, for God's sake. So, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe we end up with, they end up doing camps, but in smaller sizes or, who knows.
Basically, when I heard when that NBA player got the coronavirus, and then the Mikel Arteta, the Arsenal manager here, got it, I was like, that's it, sport's done. Two high profile sport players, I'm like, it's done. They've got to respond now, and you just don't know when it's going to come back because more players keep coming out the woodwork saying that they've got it. So I don't know.
Well, good. It's good, right? Because once they have it, then they're better, and then they can play. So come on, play.
That's how desperate we are.
Attitude. I know. I'm sorry. So, but I will make the announcement. I don't know how it is for you guys over in the UK, but for Americans, the NFL has made NFL Game Pass free until the 31st of May.
Yeah, they've done that in the UK as well.
Yeah. So we
really
can't
good.
old games. Right. That's what I did all day yesterday.
I might just rewatch our Super Bowl this year.
Oh, I like. I go back and watch like games from the 90s when the Seahawks were really bad. That's super fun. But even like the old Sean Alexander games, I would say it's a great way for newer fans, because I know in the UK we have a lot of newer fans, to go back and watch some of those greats play. Go back and watch Joe Montana play. Go back and watch, the old Dallas teams that were so impressive. You'll just get an appreciation for a lot of the people that you see talking on TV now. So it's really a lot of fun.
My favorite clip of Joe Montana is still in the Super Bowl, and he points up to the stand and goes, "Oh, look, it's John Candy. How could you be that cab? How could you be that cab?"
There is. Oh
all
my
right,
gosh.
ladies.
All right. Well,
so obviously throughout our show we would normally do these cheersies and whatnot, but yeah, this time we wanted to save it for the end. We wanted to raise our glasses because we know this is going to be a tough few weeks, if not months. But the main reason we wanted to raise our glasses is because we wanted to say a special thanks to everyone, all the amazing people out there who are doing everything they can to make sure that we're looked after. I know it's not going to be easy, but if we take the advice we're given to, I don't know, social distance, self-isolate, whatever it is we need to do, that we need to get through this. So, cheers, ladies. Until next time.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Cheers. Thank you for listening. Cheers.